Good morning, coders. We're back at it again with my homie the Nomi today. I need to figure out how to. So, if you remember our game last time, we got some flies. Hopefully, everyone had a good 3-day weekend. I saw we had some winners at Code Day, so that's pretty cool. I'm glad some of you could make it. Why did that just glitch out? Ooh, yeah, that's a fun glitch. All right, but the main thing I want to do in this episode is how do we get infinite scrolling platform. So right now we have one platform, but you can see it just ends and I can fall through into oblivion. Oh wow, I broke my code. Alright, but now I want to be able to make a second platform and just have them repeat one after each other so that there's always some ground. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to make another ground sprite. So you could see I'm going to call this ground 2. This one will be called ground 1. And we'll go over here and call this ground 1, and then ground 1, ground 1, ground 1, oh, 2, ground 2, ground 2. And why am I doing this? So we want to be able to have both sprites. So like what we're gonna see one sprite, and then when we get all the way to the right, we'll see the second sprite. And once the initial platform sprite goes all the way off the left of the screen, we're gonna move it over to the far right hand side. So there's only one platform ever completely visible on the screen. And then the second platform appears depending on which direction we're walking. Alright, so I'm just going to change the ground 2 at scribbles so that we can tell that it's working. So let's see. I hope if you guys make something with this, you will actually make something cool. Like, I don't know, Mario tiles, something like that. Alright, but, so now I'm going to add in the blue scribbles so we know if it's cycling. Alright, so we got our second ground platform with blue scribbles cycling up. Okay. Now, why is it automatically switching? That's so weird. It's just automatically switching to show text, but computers are strange. All right. So now we have this second ground sprite, and right now they're right on top of each other, so we don't want that. So our platform is 800 pixels wide. So I'm going to make, right now it started at 400, so I'm going to move it to 400 plus 800, and that gives us 1200 on there. So now, oops, we can't figure out what ground is. Okay, so I didn't update the code inside of here, so let's find it. If gnome is touching ground 1, and then I'm going to have to duplicate that and put if gnome is touching ground 2 also. So okay, and then everywhere else where I wrote ground 1, I will have to put it to ground 1 and make a duplicate and switch it to ground 2. So the second ground acts the same as the first ground. There's no real differences between the grounds. Okay, so now we have a second ground, so we should be able to walk all the way to the right and see our second ground sprite. Nice, look at that seamless transition. But now when I get to the end of this sprite, I want the original ground sprite to reappear so that I have an infinite scrolling ground platforms. So how am I going to do that? The logic isn't too complicated. So between ground 1, so ground 1 was started at 400 pixels. Remember, it starts at the dead center of the pixel block, and then we added 800 for ground 2. So all we need to do for ground 1 is add 800 pixels to its x coordinate every time it is completely to the left of the screen. So how do we know if it's completely to the left of the screen? Its x coordinate would start at 400, and its x coordinate becomes less than 0. So let's try let's try this. So if ground1.x is less than 0, then I want to move ground1.x. It's not going to work quite right. So let's do a watcher and see. So I want to watch ground1.x and ground2.x. Let's go ahead and let's watch those while we're playing. So as soon as I hit here, ground1.x is about 400. Yeah, right at 400. I can move ground1.x to the far right hand side. But it's not less than 0. It's whenever... okay, so we're going to need a new variable to keep track of their current starting locations. So, variable variable ground1 old x is what I'm going to call it, because that's its like its starting x location. And same thing for ground2. Ground2 old x starts at 1200. So we're going to update these every time we move the sprite over. We're going to keep track of its old position, and that'll be how we use it to update it. Alright, so now back to above controls is where I want to put this. So let's try this again. So we know we're going to need an if statement that says if the current ground1.x is less than ground1x ground1 old, man, I think I'm accidentally clicking with my thumb on the touchpad. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, here we go. Ground1 old x. So if ground1.x is less than ground1.oldx, but that's not quite right, because it starts at 400, and the first time we want to do it if it's less than 0. Okay, so I'm just going to offset. So this is ground1 reset. I'm going to call it, these are better names. So this is the x coordinate that it gets reset at, and then this one will be 400 less than that, so 800. All right. So if ground1.x is less than ground1 reset, then I will add ground1.x equals ground1.x plus 800, and then I'm going to have to add to the reset variable as well. Ground1 reset equals ground1 reset plus 800. So let's go ahead and give that a try for the first one. So when I jump over here, oh, all right, so it reset a little too early, but you can see I can probably do some platform hacks here. You can see it reset when I hit oh man, it's continually adding. This isn't the best way to do this. Now it just adds forever. So let's not add to the reset right now. Let's try that. One step at a time here. So as soon as I hit there, okay, so we know that the reset button is off. Less than 400 was too early, so we want to go negative 400, maybe? Let's try that. Magic. Boom. and then hopefully ground1.x. Nope. Oh, they're spawned on top of each other right now. So we don't want to add 800, we want to add 1600, two whole platforms of width. So let's go back here, plus 1600. All right, so now that should work. Okay, so I hit there. Yep, ground1.x got added to, and now I reset. So I have two platforms. Now I need to do the same math for the second platform. And how do I do that? How do I do that? I just copy the same code and do ground2.x, ground2 reset, ground2.x, ground2.x. And then the ground2 reset is going to have to be negative 400 plus 1600 gives us 1200. All right, so now the only issue is when do we walk? Ooh, that didn't work. Less than ground2 reset. Oh, so it already is less than. So it's already moved over. So this number probably has to be much bigger. Let's try it. Plus 400, 1600? Nope. What did I start it at? I started it at 1200. And it's moving down. So 800. The math on this is hard. Let's see. So it starts at 1200 and it moves slowly to the left. It might actually be the same negative 400. Doesn't sound quite right. It should be 800 more than ground2 reset, but maybe I don't know. Sometimes you just gotta try things. Alright, so now we're on to sprite 2. Sprite 1 just reset, you can see on the bottom right here. And then when ground2 hits negative 400. Oh, okay. I guess it is. Okay, because we're continually just using the same coordinates. So we're actually, our whole game is just composed right now of the coordinates 0 to 1600, and it'll continually move the platforms to the right. So now we have an infinite side-scrolling platform. Pretty epic. Hopefully you guys could follow along. I know I didn't really plan this out, so you saw me make mistakes on the fly, but that's coding, guys. We're going to make mistakes, and we try things out and see how long it takes us to get it working. So hopefully you had a great 3-day weekend. Welcome back to school on a very short, easy week this week, and I will see you all tomorrow.